I'm only ever truly myself when creating art. It's a place where the information gathering of the everyday can be processed and actualized. I aim to explore the metaphysics of art as a form of embodied cognition and a place of connection between mind and matter. Through analysing, challenging, and contextualising my own practice, I've theorised that art is a form of pattern making which contains multiple levels of depths and time spans, much like Jung's theory of the unconscious mind. Pattern making is simultaneously biological, instinctual, hereditary, and that which is developed by the individual or artist. The term pattern making in this context of embodied cognition can be replaced with the word thinking. It is a kind of thinking which is a result of our living and interacting with the world around us through observation, interaction, processing, and connection. In this regard, my focus is not only on art as a form of thinking, but as a place of connection, where stimuli is processed and actualized through doing. It is the act of doing, or embodied cognition, which makes art unique and allows the artist to use kinds of thinking which aren't typically accessible to consciousness. As Hackett states, the artwork acts as a bridge between knowing and unknowing by creating physical forms of conceptions that cannot be materialized in conscious thought. My focus is on this in-between space of unconscious and conscious, and how art is used in its development and expression. I aim to echo the multi-level structure of thinking by grounding the interpretation of my own fugitive experience in parallel to the history of humanity and collective experiences. I'm doing this on the presumption that my fundamental experience shares enough commonality and to be a sound basis for this interpretation. With the above as an overall thesis, I'm delving specifically into how this kind of thinking is affected and conveyed through the digital realm. Although my work is consciously interwoven into a historical context, it's very much a contemporary practice. This is because of my position in time. Through studies of ancient texts and artifacts, I'm able to submerge myself into a flattened time, as is the case for every individual. Where there is no space between myself and those from ancient history. Yet I also hold the ability to step outside of this delineated time and into a space on a different time scale. Like Roland Barthes, I'm intrigued by the birth of the photograph and its subsequent lens-based media, which, as he said, makes the past as certain as the present through the photograph's existence devoid of a future. Existence devoid of a future. Existence devoid of a future. This has helped facilitate the separation of contemporary time and humanity's collective time. As Jean Baudrillard has said, the media, or the world of the hologram, absorbs meaning into an accelerated hyperreality. When the hyperreal world of the hologram absorbs the real, the remainder no longer has an autonomous reality of its own place. This results in the parameters of the holographic and real structures wavering until it's no longer clear which is the remainder of which reality is real. Concentrating all meaning on the surface, this hyperreal appears more real than reality, whilst its acceleration prevents this step in depth Whilst concentrating all meaning on the surface, this hyperreal appears more real than the reality in which its acceleration prevents an in-depth observation. The media creates meaning and counter-meaning. They manipulate in all directions at once. I'm interested in how the acceleration and displacement of time and of meaning affects our thinking, especially in a capitalist culture where the simulation of experience has become commodified. Through lens-based media, the concept of linear time is commodified, enforcing the simulation of overvaluing our own experience of time. Late capitalism has seen a shift to the non-physical modes of consumption through the digital, which is influencing our perception of the world and ourselves. As political theorist Hannah Arendt describes, the world's created by the beholder. There is no world one can see devoid of oneself. The being there, the beholding, making sense of the world is an essential part of it. It is the world of human beings. I'm investigating this subsidiary form of thinking through the lens of late capitalism. As my work is contemporary, I feel this is of great relevance. Essentially, I feel I have no choice but to analyze it from this lens because that is the lens I'm stuck in contemporaneous to. My aim, therefore, is to explore the creation of art and the role it plays in cognition. Elaborating on this, I aim to explore how this is communicated between people and its potentiality, drawing specifically on the relationship between the artwork and its beholder. It's important to highlight that my focus is always grounded in a larger context, where I try to focus on the present moment in relation to the past and future. Like many postmodern theorists, I'm focused on humanity's feeling of displacement of time due to the detachment of the past and the oversaturation of the present, multiple times happening at once, a displacement exaggerated by the hyperreal. As Peter Osborne writes, contemporaneity is a condition of a disjunctive unity of different and equally present temporalities. This is due in part to the contemporary concept of time as a geopolitical multiplicity of temporalities, each carrying its own history combined with social structures which are both unified and clashing. I wish I could read. Do you ever get inside your head so much when you start reading and then you start thinking and reading at the same time? I believe this is of great importance to thinking as our process of living informs our construction of reality and ourselves. In response to this, I aim to utilize and convey the endless stream of contradiction, shifting of meaning, contemporaneity, and excesses present to the interchange of real and simulation, thus creating a ground of still contemplation while still moving with and between internal and external realities. Due to this idea, the relationship of artwork and the beholder is one I'm strongly considering as the beholder as an active role. The verb to behold also means to keep, signifying another form of vulnerability inherent to the viewer. The art object can act as a tool to evoke body cognition through encouraging vulnerability. In my work, I aim to create this tool by formulating a place of connection, an experience designed to be lived with and revisited. My paintings change with your perception, rewarding looking by unveiling themselves over time. Therefore, my work is a balancing act of the grey area between spaces, what is observed and projected, chaotic and quiet, individual and collective, a conversation of perception. I'm exploring how this can be conveyed in the digital realm, as ultimately nothing else lives outside the hologram. Anything on the outside in opposition becomes absorbed and commodified. Basing my methods on the notion that fixing the machine only takes you deeper in, I'm playing with the hyperreality through processes of exaggeration and subversion, bringing the inversions and multiplicities present in my work in order to bring them into a conscious state. I see the nebulous of the digital as a projection of the unconscious, where there is no up or down, no good or bad. It is the land of water where everything hangs in suspension.